Hey guys, it is Targon here doing a Raid Shadow Legends video, and today I am going to show you this new clan boss team that I just built specifically to take on Ultra Nightmare Spirit Affinity clan boss. Spirit Affinity is kind of like the bane of our existence for taking on clan boss, just because we spend all this time, all this effort, all these resources into building a clan boss team that's speed tuned, and it works perfectly. But then Spirit Affinity comes in and it throws decreased speed on everybody, and it throws everything out of whack. And so you kind of have to build around that. And with some of the comps out there, it's not always possible to really do that, especially when you're talking about like the really fast comps. So um, I found a way to take one of the key champions for that comp, Helicath, and do a relatively simple to build outside of the Helicath build clan boss team where you can bring in someone to block the debuffs, and it works perfectly. It's a great comp. So let me go ahead and show you. So here's the team. So this is the team that I'll run on anything other than Spirit. Everybody's really fast. It's going 2 for 1, doing a ton of damage. But you can't, when everybody's going 2 for 1, you can't really block the debuffs very effectively. It'd be a nightmare, and you probably have to bring in multiple debuff blockers, and then you're losing a ton of damage. So it's not really worth it. But so this is the same Helicath that I'm using here, because I've only got one. I don't know about you guys, but so this is the new team, all right? And so I'm bringing in Brogni to block the debuffs, and also he provides an extra shield. Now, I did try doing this by inserting Tatura in Brogni's spot to block the debuffs, thinking that Helicath's shields would cover it, but the problem is the way this works, where you have to have the debuff blocker, is Helicath's shield won't cover the debuff blocker on the stun if Helicath's shield is fully booked. If you're still at a 4-turn cooldown on his shield, then you don't need another shield champion. Or if you have a shield champion who's magic affinity, who puts up a pretty big shield, then you wouldn't necessarily have to do it, because I don't think the boss is going to target him. Or you could bring in a force affinity champion to be the stun target, I believe. But this is the way that I'm doing it. Brogni is also really ideal because he's able, even though the shields aren't absorbing a lot of damage, he's still able to send Giant Slayer Reflex back, even if no damage to the shield is done. So that helps bring up the damage quite a bit, and he's also bringing increased attack and a few other things. So Brogni is kind of, in my opinion, the ideal champion for this. So let me just show you the build. So here is Helicath. Again, this is the exact same speed as the 2 for 1. Exact same Helicath. I've got him in a speed set and a perception set. And he works flawlessly in both comps. Now, I have him built with resistance for other content. If you're not using him anywhere else, feel free to load him up on the crit stats. Maybe throw some extra defense on there, pump out as much damage as possible out of him. And you are going to want the War Master. For Underpriest Brogni, like I said, the Giant Slayer Mastery, this will help pump up damage quite a bit. I got him in a shield set, and I've got him, again, high resistance for other content. You want to, if you're whoever you're using for the shield, you're going to want to try and maximize their shield. So for Brogni, this is HP. And again, you can sacrifice resistance for things like crit rate and so forth. And let's see, damage champions. The rest of these guys, you can use whoever, really. These are just the champions that I decided to use because I don't really use them anywhere else. So Fane actually becomes the stun target on the way this is set up. And her defense is relatively low, but I'm able to get all the way to turn 50 with her. So that's a really nice thing. Obviously, I could probably want to try and get her damage up a little bit more. Masteries, you'd want War Master. Brawler is the other one I'm going to use, and again, I have the War Master, and then for him, really, it's just a matter of HP. I'll go over the speeds again later on the other page. But so I'm pumping out a lot of poisons here, and usually I'd not. I've kind of stopped worrying too much about the poisons, but this is the one team I'm using Dark Kale. I decided to go ahead and bring Dark Kale in, and he does a poison sensitivity, and so my idea is I'm just going to load up the boss on poisons and let that bring a lot of the damage. That way I don't have to build other champions specifically for this, because the speeds, I mean, they're not super slow, but most of the content I'm doing now, like if I have a good champion, I'm trying to have them at, you know, like close to like 250 speed or more if I can. 220 is kind of like the minimum for everything else. So I don't want to be using really good champions and have them be under 200 speed. So that's why I'm doing Dark Kale. Now I haven't even done masteries on him, so once I do the masteries, damage output for this team is going to go way up. And so let me just kind of show you the speeds all side by side here real quick. And this is a full auto team. So again, I got Helicath. He's at 247, and he works perfectly for this comp and the other comp. Brogni, 174. Fane is at 188. Brawler is at 178. And Dark Kale is at 175, and this team is full auto. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit start, and we can just kind of watch for a few minutes and see how this happens, and then I'll skip to the end. All right, so Helicath is blocking the damage on both AoEs. There will be a few points early on where you will take a little bit of damage, I believe. And there you saw all those 67s going up. That's all reflex from Brogni's shields. So even though block damage was up, there's still that chance for the reflect, for Giant Slayer to go off on the reflex. And so that's kind of the one spot where you were taking damage, I think. I don't know if it does. I don't think we take damage after this. So you'll notice that Helicath does his shield, and then Brogni immediately replaces it. So this is where if you can bring in a shield champion who's not this, or if you bring in a block debuffs champion rather, who is maybe Force Affinity, or no, I'm sorry, not Force Affinity, Magic Affinity, or if you have somebody else who's Force Affinity who's going to draw the stun, then you don't necessarily need it to be Brogni. And you could get by with Helicath's shield. You just want to have to make sure that the clan boss isn't targeting somebody else. But for all the reasons I already mentioned, I decided I'd just go with Brogni for now. I'll probably switch it at some point. And you see Fane is the one taking the stun, and she's under 2,000 defense. So with the shields and the increased defense, she's doing really well. The other advantage to having Brogni here that can be helpful is there's a little bit of a heal going on when Fane takes damage, so that can help her survive a little bit longer. But you know, end of the day, it's not going to make a huge difference. So you see, I'm just loading the clan boss up with all these poisons. Actually, did the poison sensitivity not land? Or did it just expire? I didn't think it would expire. But anyway, so that's the concept. So we're blocking the AoEs, and then the shield is taking on the stun. And I think I have too much poison on here because the poison sensitivity, I guess, goes on at the end for Dark Kale. So I'm gonna have to, I might have to take one of these guys out and try something different to get more damage. So I didn't notice that before now. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll show you back at the end. Okay. So we're at turn 44. Now Fane hasn't seemed to take any damage, but I'm not sure how much of that could be because she's also getting the heal. See there you see that big healing comes up after she takes the stun. And that's from Brogni's passive. So that's part of the reason why we're able to get so far into this run. But you see we're doing really, really great here. About 1 million damage per turn. And there you see again, she drops way down and then heals right back up. So again, that is why Brogni is probably like the ultimate shield for this particular setup. Although if you were able to bring in maybe someone like Valkyrie or something, could add some counterattacks. Oh look, Brogni's still going. There we go. All right, so we made it to turn 51. And so here you see the damage. So it's actually relatively evenly split. Again, Brogni's reflex, don't underestimate that. Even though, the damage itself isn't getting reflected back on the AoEs, there's still the Giant Slayers going off. There were sometimes I'd say like 4 or 5, 6 Giant Slayers proccing at once. So that is the power of his passive. Brawler was pumping out all kinds of poisons. Dark Kale actually didn't do quite as much damage, but I do need to get his masteries up. And I think part of it was half the time his poison sensitivity wasn't going on. So I might have to maybe tweak some things, or maybe take Brawler's my top damage deal. I don't know. I don't know how I'll shuffle the pack a little bit. But 51 million damage, that's a really, really easy 2-key, and that's really going to help the clan out in terms of bringing down the boss that much quicker. So I know some of us get stuck with 30 something million damage, so this just brings it up a lot. I don't have to worry about it. For a while I was doing Spirit with like a team that was kind of RNG dependent, and it's like, oh, am I going to get enough damage before the team wipes out? And I'm like constantly checking back to, make sure that everything's good. This is so simple. I can just hit go and it goes, and the run's done, and I come back and I got 50 million damage, and I can just do it again. So it is a 2-key, but for Spirit Affinity, hey, it works. It's great. It's fun. I don't really need to. None of these champions are super hard to build, other than kind of the stat requirements on Helicath can be a bit challenging for people. But again, you can use the exact same setup in all the other affinities as well, which is great. So if you don't have that other block damage champion, and you want to be able to get 50 million plus on a key, this is a great team with only one champion over 200 speed. So this might be a good option for some people. All right, so hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to comment. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.